I left bartending to do this full time with him because it was just like, it made more sense. You know, why stretch ourselves thin? Let me just put myself into everything that I believe in, which is networking and hosting these great events to bring people together.
For creatives, how do you work with these type of people so they align with your vision and what you guys have planned for whichever event you're doing?
This is a people's business. Creatives, we depend on each other to level ourselves up. Maybe we don't know how to bring it to life, but listening and acting on that, it helps.
Hey everybody, it is your host, Tato Datson, and we are here for another exciting episode of 23 Journeys, a network for creatives. And I am joined by my lovely wife, Naomi. How are you?
Hey everybody.
So we have a special guest. She is actually the other half of Wolf of Broad Street. We've had Josh Buchter on here before. Bethany Williams, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much, Tato and Naomi, for having me here today.
It's a pleasure to have you. You know, last time we had your balder half here, and he was fantastic. Love Josh. Josh is fantastic, and you know, we wanted to bring you on too because you two work together with the business, and you both bring different aspects of it. You know, yin and yang kind of thing, and you know, yeah, the guy-girl dynamic, and you both will see events differently. You have different experiences and stuff, and I thought this would be important for our guests to kind of hear and everything. So you being part of Wolf of Broad Street and everything, what really got you involved, or how did you get involved with like networking events? And
So when I got involved with Wolf of Broad Street, because it was established in 2015 when Josh created it himself, what drew me into becoming involved was I come from a hospitality background. I actually studied communications in college at Westchester, so I've always been like a people's person. I love networking. What really drew me in was bringing people together, like seeing what our networking events do, the value behind it. So I left bartending to do this full time with him because it was just like, it made more sense. You know, why stretch ourselves thin, having to, you know, get done work at a shift and then run over to a networking event. I'm like, let me just put myself into everything that I believe in, which is networking and hosting these great events to bring people together. So it was pretty much just like a decision that just kind of flowed into it. Like it wasn't questionable. It was just naturally just doing it with him. So that's where we're at, yeah.
great. And then real quick, we're going to do a quick clip to show people a little bit of what you guys do.
Please do.
So we got a quick refresher. Last time people watched, they might have seen some of that footage before, but it's great. You guys do the Royal Rendezvous. You have the different events where people, I forget what he said it was called. It was the one where people can do like get headshots.
Oh, yeah, the Revamp Your Image.
Revamp Your Image events and such. So, and that's really cool, really cool. We talked with Josh a bit about social media and such. What's your perspective on social media, how a company or a person can use that with networking, you know, getting their name, their voice out?
Yeah, so I think social media is huge. I believe it's a way to be your authentic self without being face-to-face with someone. So using social media as a platform, especially for a business, as a creative, whatever you're trying to do, utilizing it just as you would with having a conversation or your everyday life, what you do. For social media, for me, I like to show my work side and who I am. So, like, I like to cook. So when I'm not posting about my events or networking, I like to show videos and content of me cooking. So I think that businesses that utilize social media, it's huge for them. You should have if you have a brand, which we all have a brand, people should know what your brand is, and you're able to show that through social media. And if you're not showing that through social media, then you're kind of doing something wrong there. So I think it's really important to utilize social media, even if that's not you getting on a camera every day and posting a video, because not everybody likes to do stuff like that, but just engaging and showing your community who you are, what you do, and how how you're valuable and what your business can bring.
Do you feel that a person should, like a business, well, I mean, like a business, but like say, it would say like, all right, you said that you like to cook. Do you see that people see that valuable in like seeing like, hey, I cooked this meal today, and you know, even though it doesn't have anything to do with networking events, like what is your opinion on that?
I'm not sure what people think, but what I'm hoping that they see from that is like, I'm not afraid to show, like, I'm not a world class chef. I've never gone to culinary school, but I get pride and joy out of cooking something. And that final plate that I post, I'm like, yeah, well, I did this. Same thing what I do with my business and work. I don't know how people view me as a business owner, but I take pride in everything I do, especially with our networking events and our marketing. So I think showcasing that on social media and just being authentic and real and not expecting the world to be like, wow, that is so amazing and cool, and just being like, this is what I do, this is what I have to provide for you guys, like this is the real me. So I make mistakes, I'm not perfect, so I think, yeah.
Now, do you feel like, is that like your personal page where it's like you and stuff, or is that more of your business page? Because there's some people that only have business pages and then they want to keep their personal pages private because of either they don't want to show their kids or something. Like, how do you go about that then, and showing like a little bit of your personal, but not too much if it's your business page? Like,
so if you would have asked me that question a year ago, I would have said, oh no, you probably should just keep it all together. But I think for people, everyone's different. So for me, I have my personal page where I will also share business, like flyers and things on, but we do have a Facebook profile that is just business, where I won't post those things on there. So it's tailored to who you are, your perspective. Everyone's got their unique differences. More for me, it's relatable because I'm more of like an outgoing person, like I'm very bubbly, fun. So I like to show like, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is where I do it. It's different. You just have to figure it out for yourself, really. Social media is not like you have it all written down, you got it right down perfectly. No, you definitely don't. I mean, everyone's different with what you do and how you do it, so.
True. And with social media, people, you can network in person and you can network online. How do you feel a person can balance their online networking experience with their in-person networking experience?
That's a good question. So I think personally, when you're networking online, that's like being engaged, like constantly commenting on someone's post or sharing or letting people know what you have going on, compared to in-person networking where you're actually face-to-face with someone. You want to share that same energy. So just be consistent in what you're doing and what you're saying. Like if I'm online always saying, drop your business cards, or, hey, can I get a referral for this, that, and the third? If I see you in person, I want to be the same exact way. Just like that. I want to say, hey, can we exchange business information? How can I help you? Can you help me in any way? Like that's where I would come with that and say, if you're going to engage on social media online, be the same person, be that same way in person if you can. Introvert, extrovert, I know it's a little different there. You're like, oh, you're behind a computer screen. You're not really like so face to face with someone. But if you are who you are, that comes out naturally. So I think that's a good way to balance it. Just remember who you were on social media. You can still be that same person in person.
So make sure you get your character right. Okay,
yeah.
I'm this guy, debonair photographer. I need to make sure I'm like that. I'm saying it can get a little. It can get some. We talk. I love talking about authenticity, and a lot of times, if you're pretending to be something that you're not, it can get exhausting because you're like, it's not who you are. You're putting all this energy into this character you're trying to create, versus just being who you are is natural. It just flows. You don't have to feel like your energy's all blocked up. You have to remember, oh wait, was I acting this certain way?
Right.
I'm a gamer. I'm a nerdy type guy. I like the game. I watch pro wrestling. I do that. That's who I am. But then when I get out there and I network, I still bring that same energy of excitement and such. And when you have conversations with people, like do you bring up anything that, like, what are some stuff that you like that you could bring up in a conversation and make it feel authentic with a person at a networking event?
Yeah. So like, again, social media, I lean heavily on that because social media shows me someone that maybe I don't know them in person, but I'm following their page. I'm looking at what they're posting. So when I meet this person, in real life time, I'll mention like, oh, hey, like I saw your daughter just had a prom. How was that? How did it go? Like, did you need a photographer or did you like whatever it might be? I try to make things relatable in conversations with people because you want to know who you're talking to. And if you're doing the work, you might as well show them like, hey, I see what you're doing. I see what you got going on. How can I help in any way? Or how can we connect and stay in each other's lives and stay relevant with each other? So,
very true.
Yeah.
It's true that the social media has kind of given us a cheat code.
It does. It really does. And if you're using it the right way, especially as business owners, we're on social media all the time. There's no reason you shouldn't know who the person, your audience, your community. You should definitely know the people that you have in that circle. So even if you don't personally know them, like my favorite thing with social media, interacting online, I might be interacting with someone online through posts and liking and sharing what they have going on. And then I meet them in real life. And it's like I've known this person for years. It's like, yeah, I follow you. I know what you got going on. And that's reciprocated back to me. A lot of people don't necessarily might not know me, but they know of who I am and what I do. So when they meet me, it's like, oh, I feel like I've known you. Like, this is great to finally meet you. You're exactly what you're like online. It's like, yeah, I hope so.
I feel like that's good too for people that are more introverted and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like me and everything. Because Tato's like, he's like the face. He'll go out and talk to anybody, everything and stuff like that. I take a little bit more to come out of my shell and stuff. So it's like if I'm following somebody on social media and I know that we've engaged and stuff like that and everything online, then when I show up, it's like I feel I'm not starting from scratch and
Right.
everything. That I can start feeling like I'm creating that connection even though we haven't met yet and get me out of my shell a little bit more.
Exactly. And the first thing I always do when I do meet someone I don't know, if we're not connected on social media, I make sure immediately we connect. So that way it's like I'm following you day by day. There's no reason this connection should fall through. I know who you are. So it's important to try to have a presence on social media. If you meet someone nowadays that doesn't have a presence, you probably should work on that. Get a Facebook, get an Instagram, get a YouTube, LinkedIn, whatever it is. You should definitely be known on social media.
Some social media. What's your favorite one?
My favorite social media, so it's changed. I will always love Instagram, but I find Facebook to be more of what I lead into. Facebook's more like personal. I feel like with Facebook, it's a larger reach. LinkedIn, I have to get better at LinkedIn. I am terrible. Like I do not update my LinkedIn, which I really need to do that. But I like Facebook a lot. I really do. So
One of my guests, Chris Giddings, we had him on, and he's a LinkedIn expert. Like
Yeah.
he does LinkedIn super well. He's actually gone to the headquarters of LinkedIn because they loved how he did his work and everything else like that. And he's given some great tips on how to use LinkedIn.
that's someone I need to connect with because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know how. Like I'm not like dived into the LinkedIn world, but yeah, LinkedIn's another great way to stay connected with people. And we're learning more and more. Like we need to post more on LinkedIn, YouTube, utilize all the videos that we create. You put them on social media, they're going to be there. They're going to be online forever. So you want people to be able to reference like, wow, okay, I wasn't there at that event, or I didn't know you knew that person, but I saw them in one of your videos or your photos. So yeah, social media is huge. And I love Facebook.
Now, how do you balance, like, a lot of people say, like, get content calendars out and everything. So you're planning out, like, professional-looking things and stuff. But then you also need to sprinkle in, like, actual events and lifetime things and everything. Do you kind of suggest maybe staying more towards stories for those live actual things that aren't as well produced, I should say, or like, and everything that's like more spur of the moment, and it's not like you went through, you didn't Photoshop anything, you didn't put a whole graphic event flyer together and everything? How would you balance that?
Yeah, totally. So for stories, because we do obviously a lot of posting, and I actually do a lot of the social media posting. So a social media calendar is definitely important to have. You need to have your week lined out. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What time of the day? What do you want to post? What do you want people to see? I think stories is a good way because, you're always clicking through people's stories like real fast. You're like wanting to see what they're going on. That's a good way to flash a flyer, flash something up there real quick so they're like, they can stop. There's music. They're listening. Okay. For posts that you want people to read and understand, like there's some information they need to like retain, that's when you would post it. Like make it an actual post. Facebook's great for that. Instagram, the collaborating posts, when they started doing that, that's huge because now not only are you getting your content out there, if you're making a collaborator with someone else, your post is getting seen by other people that are not even in your network. So definitely when creating a social media calendar, just know what it is you want to post and how you want people to retain that and what do you want them to remember. So I love stories. Every day we do a story. If you don't have something on your story every day, and you don't have to necessarily follow what I say, but every day there should be something on your story, whether it's like us showing one of our clients or a flyer, something old, just something always on your story, because then it's like, okay, this person's definitely active. I don't necessarily post every day, like an actual post on Instagram or Facebook, because sometimes it can become, just too much, but definitely utilizing the stories, the posting, the tagging, and engagement. Just dropping something like, what's your favorite movie? Like just something to get people going. Like, okay, sprinkle it in. It doesn't have to be work all the time. So
True that. Makes a lot of sense because if you're just one dimensional and it's always just business, people will not feel that connection. They'll see like, oh, okay, cool. If I need to learn anything about this, I'll come back here. But if you want people to engage and feel more involved, like you said, a little like, hey, what's your favorite movie? Or we recently watched the new Captain America a movie and such. Hey, what you guys thinking about this new movie? I've always like comic book and Marvel and everything. Like, what do you guys think of this and such? So those are good key points. I think Facebook. I mean, especially because the way Facebook started. Facebook originally started as a social media platform for college students.
Right. Yes.
And then they opened it to the general public. And then from there, now everyone's auntie and grandma and whatnot posts on Facebook. But I think like you said, Facebook feels a little bit more authentic and you're able to connect on a more personal level. Because that's where I go to see a lot of like where my friends and family are. Unfortunately, Facebook has got convoluted with a lot of advertisements and groups and everything. So how do you help? What are ways that you've seen to make your message get through all the clutter of like the groups and the other type of posts that flood the Facebook timeline?
Well, I would say what we do, we will try to, we'll do videos now, more videos, because, you can have a post and it could be a whole paragraph about what this flyer is talking about or what event you're trying to what event you're trying to promote. With videos, now they could just watch a video, like a reel. Reels are 90 seconds now, or maybe they're longer. I believe they started doing them longer. You post a reel real quick. Someone's going to watch that over sitting there and reading an entire post and then being like, okay, that was great. Now on to the next. Whereas with the video, they're like, wow, this was really cool. And the more people that are clicking in and watching that video, now it's becoming on other people's feeds. It's like popping up more and more over those ads that are flooding through everything. And sharing into groups, definitely being a part of groups is cool and important, because you can post something on your actual feed and then share it into a group without having to create a whole nother post. So then it just brings the people back to your page. So I think that's one way that we do it with videos and reels.
That makes sense. The so going back into the physical aspect of networking, we've touched a little bit on the digital, because we're in this world of digital and physical. As a woman that runs networking events, what are some challenges that you faced, in trying to overcome, like in your experience?
Some challenges that we always face, I would say, always thinking about what can our attendees take away from this event? Why should they even come to our event? There's a million networking events out there, but it's always like, what can we do to up the game with this event? Because we have events every month, but each event we learn, we grow. So every time we're looking at a new event, we're coming up with a theme. We're coming up with a why. Why should you be there? Who can you expect to be there? That's important too, letting people know, like, this isn't just like an average networking event. We're exchanging business cards. This is who's going to be there. This is what you can expect. So always just trying to level up and listening to our attendees, listening to our audiences. It's really important as a business owner that throws networking events, because it's not an easy work. People might think, oh, it's just so easy. There's a lot that goes into it, because we care. That's what makes us different. That separates us. We care about what we do and how we produce these events. So I'm always just listening and learning. I like to ask people while they're at the event, during it. I'm like, how are you guys doing? Is everything good? Have you met someone yet? Have you not met someone yet? Can I help you? Can I connect you with this person? What are you taking away from it? can I expect to maybe see you at the next event? What didn't you like? What did you like? So always questioning and always looking to serve our attendees and our people, you know.
And for your female attendees, like how do you
Mm-hmm.
help them like navigate an event? And I'll say this, I'm guilty of it when I was younger too. I'd go to a network event, hey, I'm gonna try to hit on some girls, you know what I'm saying? Well, what are some ways that you help them, because not everybody has the intention of networking for business. Maybe
Right.
they're like, hey, maybe someone wants to go, and whatnot.
Yeah, especially because, like, from my perspective, going to events and stuff in the past too, like, if I didn't have a guy friend coming with me, or if I didn't have one of my best girlfriends going with me, and I was going into it thinking, oh, there might not be a lot of other women there, I might get overwhelmed and
Right.
stuff. So, how do you cater to that?
So how I cater to that is we try to make everyone feel comfortable. You know, we don't want anyone to ever feel uncomfortable. We should never have an experience or create an environment where someone's like, I don't know if I should really want to be here because this isn't really, I'm not used to this. For the female attendees, what I always do, I always encourage, empowerment when they walk through the door. Thank you so much for being here. You look amazing tonight. Thanks for coming. How can I help you? What do you do for work? What are you looking to gain from this? Just trying to be personal with people really goes a long way, especially being a female in this industry. It can be a little overwhelming because, the males act like they're the alpha dogs or whatever, but, women run the world. So we're we have to stick together. So, like, for example, if I go to a networking event that's not mine and I'm attending and I won't know anyone there, I'll try to find someone that's standing by themselves and I'll introduce myself and, make a little joke to break up the ice a little bit and then say, hey, you want to go meet some other people with me? Like, let's go talk to some other people. I know a lot of females that come to our events that have now grown with the community. And I'm a part of this community where we're all friends now because maybe we stepped out of our zone and we went to a networking event and we weren't sure exactly where to begin. Even though we know what we're looking for, it can be really hard and intimidating. Once you create that community and you feel like this is comfortable enough for me to go approach that mortgage lender, that big dog, and just be like, hey, I'm looking to get involved with you. How can I help you? I think we just have to stick together and continue to advocate for one another and listen to each other and just be there and support and be genuine and real. People will show you that, Some people go to networking events and they could care less to make connections. They're just there to show their face and say, I made it to that networking event. That's cool, but, there's a lot of people out there that are just genuinely trying to make connections, and most of the time those connections turn into friendships. So I think just being personal and genuine.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. I love that aspect that you do where you will meet somebody, say like, hey, let's go together. Because Naomi's an introvert, and, usually we'll go together. But if, say, for instance, she went by herself, it'd be nice to have someone like you who's like, hey, let's go, buddy. Let's try to do something.
Hey, you can call me whenever you want.
Oh, man. For creatives. So what is your view because you rely on photographers, videographers, designers for your event? Like, how do you work with these type of people so they align with your vision and what you guys have planned for whichever event you're doing?
So I think Josh touched on this too. It's like kind of organically when it comes to the creatives that approach us, or even when we're seeking creatives to help us out with our events, because we lean on each other. This is a people's business. Creatives, we depend on each other to level ourselves up. And every time that we do that, stepping out of our comfort zones and listening to an idea, as creatives, we have so many ideas. Maybe we don't know how to bring it to life, but listening and acting on that, it helps with the creatives that we use that get involved with us. Most of the time, they bring the ideas and we're like, all right, let's help execute that and bring it to life. So I'm sorry, I don't know if I actually answered that question correctly. So one more time, just run that back.
Yeah, no, it's all good. But you rely on creatives like photographers, videographers, designers and such. And how do you, not say weed them out, but how do you vet them? There you go. Just see
vet them out. Okay.
Yeah. And they can, you make sure that what they do can align with your brand.
Right. So I'm huge on trust, accountability. If you say you're going to do something, please do it. I'm not your mom or your dad. I'm not going to try to follow up and stay on you, but you tell me you're going to do something, then do it. I have an open ear. I'm going to listen to everyone. If you just start out as a photographer and you're like, hey, can we come down and do? Yes, come on in. Let me see what you got. Show me what you got. Are you trying to show people what you can give them? Or are you just trying to get into a room and take a couple photos and say you're a photographer? Like, it's huge. I feel like creatives have these ideas and sometimes they need help getting these ideas out there. So when it comes to our events, working with creatives helps us because we're always thinking of new ideas and we might not be able to execute on that, but having these other people come in, it helps out a lot. So, yeah.
Right. And the aspect of entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs that we had mentioned earlier and such. You mentioned you talk about you would pull somebody aside and such. Now, on the opposite aspect, you're an extrovert that can go to somebody. What do you think for like a more introverted female entrepreneur? How can she build a better network or brand and such if she's too afraid to approach somebody to get around?
I think having a resilient mindset, keeping that mindset there, like I might fail, I might have setbacks, but leveraging those experiences to learn and grow from them and then turning it into how can I change? What can I do next that wasn't the same as the first time I approached the situation? Especially being a female entrepreneur, it can be hard because, a lot of doors get closed immediately when they see a female walk into a room and have an idea and they want to express that and get out there. And it's like, I don't know if you're in the position to do that. Don't let being told no hold you back because you're going to be told no a million times a day. You just have to consistently tell yourself that you can do this. You need to surround yourself with people that build you up, and you have to build yourself up during all these processes. And it can be a lot, but as long as you take it day by day and you keep training yourself and telling yourself and educate yourself, financial literacy, understand the ins and outs of a business. Being an entrepreneur, you're not going to just be handed things. You have to do the research. You have to do the work. You have to show up every single day for yourself, and that can be hard. But as long as you keep that mindset that you can do it, it can be done. For sure, definitely. And having mentors, having people around you that believe in you, learning. As a female entrepreneur, as a business owner, I am learning every single day. I never stop learning. I listen to people. I listen to podcasts, mindset, read books, all these different things. Like, you have to just keep building yourself and staying positive because it's really easy to tear yourself down. And the minute you tear yourself down, you remove one of those blocks, everything could just collapse. You just got to keep going. So that's what I suggest. Yeah.
I love that. The emphasis on yourself is super important because when you network, I'm a photographer, videographer. There's people who do photo booth, there's DJs and everything. And the thing that we have to find a balance too, because we have to make sure that we big ourselves up, that we believe we're confident in who we are and we can bring a lot to the table. And we also have to know that not everyone is going to click with what we bring. You may be more of a fashion style photographer, but then you meet some people who are like, nah, we're just more into product type stuff. So it's like, okay, cool. Those weren't the right people. Doesn't mean you're a crappy person or a crappy photographer. It just means they weren't the right connections. Right. And that's why networking and connecting with other people works too. But then also you got to also make sure you don't build yourself inside, because then you have a big ego and be walking around with your head like this.
Right.
And
that's what they call impostor syndrome, right?
Right.
You don't want to do that, but
I feel very confident in what I've done. I've been around the industry for a while, and I know I've seen your work, and you seem very confident in what you do and such. And what are like some creative ways? Well, actually, we'll do this one. What has been your experience as a woman leading network-focusing events done for, I guess, say, the community or and whatnot in your eyes?
So, what it does for me, or what it has done, is that what?
Yeah, like what do you feel like the events have done for the community? And
I feel like people rely on me. They rely on me in a way where it's like we've created this space that the community can show up to and know what to expect. They rely that we say we're going to do what we say we're going to do. And that's huge because now I'm being held accountable by myself and by my community to provide and execute on everything that I want to do for these people. So I think what it tells me is that I have to continue to be confident, even if sometimes I feel like I'm not confident, or sometimes I feel like I can't do this today, or I feel like I'm not recharged enough to go out there and connect these people and bring them what they want. But I have to show up every single day, and I have to get that fear out of my head because, like I said, people rely on us to do that. They look at us like, okay, they're the connectors. If we need something, we know we can call Josh or Beth. You know, they know they can DM me and ask me a question, and that's something I have to always be present and always show up. So I can't let people down, and I'll be letting myself down if I did that. So that's one thing that I noticed with the networking events and throwing these events and facilitating these connections is I have to show up, because if I don't show up, then it's like I'm giving the message to other female entrepreneurs or people that want to get out there and network that, you know, okay, maybe it's okay not to do what you say you're going to do. That's not cool. So that's huge for me.
Yeah. Naomi, what do you seem like you might have a question over there. Obviously, girl to girl right here.
Well, she brought up a good point, too, because it's like some days you don't feel like showing up. Some days you're just mentally exhausted. Sometimes you got a lot going on and everything. But she also brought up, too, that like you listen to podcasts, you get in that space. It might be podcasts that are, I don't know, maybe on empowerment, or it could just be on your mindset, or it could be on like relaxation, or it could be on real estate, or anything, because it could be learning, or it could be just anything to get your mind working and stuff like that and all, and just to kind of build yourself up. Because if you're not doing anything and you're in that mood and you just kind of let that mood like down you more and more, then it's hard to get out of it and everything.
Right. And I'm huge on like watering each other, you know, we're like plants. You got to water each other. When you have other plants around, other plants, like if they're happy, your plants are happy. So with me, it's like the community, the people I'm around. If I'm watered down, I might be watering them down, and I don't want to do that for anyone. So whatever you have to do to get yourself out of that mindset, to stay motivated, whether it's talking to a friend like Ani D, one of my best friends I've made through this networking connections, we'll hop on a call like once a month and just debrief and go over things with each other and just build each other up. Like, you got this, sis. Like, you can do this. So it's important to have people in your corner, and it's important to show up for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good, too, because it's like a lot of people come into your events. Like, some of them are real estate agents. Some of them are people that do loans and everything. So it's like they're all in a similar network, but they might all be doing something a little bit different. So it's finding your connections that bring you guys together and all, that you can connect on and everything and all, too. Yeah. And because then you'll learn some things about another industry that you might not know completely about.
Exactly. And we're all doing the work. You know, if we're in that room, if you're in that room going to the event, you just know that we're all trying to put the effort to do the work to get to the next step. So you're building with each other.
Female creatives, when you see them out, you know, you have the ones that are working the event. You know, obviously, you know, they're in front of people and everything. What are ways that someone who's more or less, they kind of show up to an event, but they want to get their name out there, whether with you or somebody at the event? What would be some advice you'd have for those kind of creatives?
For those kind of creatives, when you know, you're showing out, make sure you are talking about your brand and who you are, like why people should want to work with you, why they should want to get to know you. What about you is special that you believe in? You know, I can walk in a room and say, I'm the best person here. Well, why? Why are you that way? For females, I think it's important to, like, once again, it sounds repetitive, be authentic, just be who you are, you know, be who you are, show people who you are, what you can do, what you want to do, ask questions. Nothing's wrong with asking questions, getting help, getting advice, seeking advice, you know. That's really important. So I think, you know, whether or not you bring business cards, have something to show people. Show them what exactly it is, who you are, what you do, and why they should want to be involved with you.
You mentioned business cards, and then do you find it more effective to have physical business cards or do the digital business cards? What do you feel people are leaning towards now?
Well, I don't have a business card, so
that's the wrong person.
But I mean, with technology nowadays, everyone's got like the Popple, the instant you could touch. Just have a way for people to get connected with you. You don't necessarily need to have a physical business card because most people will just toss them anyways. You know, just make sure you get someone's contact info and you follow up with them, whether that's email, whether that's social media, texting, calling. have a way to be able to be like, okay, I met Joe Smith. Oh, that's right. I have Joe Smith's number right here, or I follow Joe Smith on Instagram now. Like, make sure that you're connecting with that person. So whether or not you want to bring a physical business card, go for it, or just or take a picture of a business card. You see someone at an event, take a picture of it, let them keep their business card so other people can, get that connection. But yeah, that's pretty much.
And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like too, like the more people come to the events, like repetitive and everything, you get to know them more. And then because I know for me, like I'll walk into a room, I'll be meeting like a ton of people for the first time, and I'll forget almost everybody's name and everything and stuff. So it's like I feel like if you're going to an event, don't just throw it out where like, okay, I met nobody, it didn't go anywhere, I didn't get any business from it or anything. It's repetitive because people need to see you, they need to be reminded about you and everything and stuff like that and all. Like, how do you encourage people to come back and not just like give it all up after one time?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely love to see the same people out at the events because now you're seeing that they're putting that work in consistently. But as human beings, we're not going to make it to every single networking event. But as long as you're trying to, show face, make more connections, just because you show up to every event, don't talk to the same people. At least try to talk to someone new at each event you go to. So what I, would say to the folks that are showing up to the events, make sure you're walking away with one new connection, one more new person that you've just met, and make it a point to say hello, make it a point to take a photo with them at that event, post that photo and be like, hey, I just showed up to the Wobbs Royal Rendezvous tonight, and I'm sitting here with Tato. Like, we're having a great time. Yeah, we're out networking. Where are you? Like, things like that. People, FOMO. Like, people hate to be left out of things.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah. It's like, oh, man, dang, man, Tato was there, too.
Man, I said I was going to go to that networking event. I should have went. Yeah, you should have went. But, hey, you can come to the next one.
Yep.
So.
That is an extremely important aspect where networking events is the pictures and the photos and all that after media and stuff, because you have the pre-media to get people out there, but that after media is showing what was the value, like was it worth somebody coming out, because you have those people like you said that like, oh well, maybe I'll go, and they decide not to go last minute. Then they see the pictures and they see, I don't know, we'll say famous, but like Meek Mill showed up, or they're like, what? There was they miss out on opportunity to meet somebody big, or Kevin Hart was there. It's like, Kevin Hart, like, being Philly, we probably could get one of those random celebrities to show up, but your events are more, obviously your events are more catered to real estate, but I'm just saying in that aspect that people see like, oh, it's huge crowd of people. I've been to some events where it was like 200 something plus people. I've seen events where 1,000 people. I've been to events where it's like 10 people.
Yeah.
And such. This is my little tip for creatives too. If you're working one of these events, when you're taking your photos and such, your goal is to make her, the event planner, look as good and as great as you can. And when you're taking these photos, try not to show all the dead space.
Yeah.
Obviously, even if you have 200 people in the room, there's going to be areas where it's going to look a little empty and whatnot. You want to make sure you want all the pictures to look packed. And one of the tricks I always did was like when we take the photos, say for instance, it was like 20 people showed up and it's a big space. You try to get a shot where there's a lot of people together and you cut on the shoulders and stuff when you're taking your pictures or your video clips. That way it looks like, wow, this place had a lot of stuff. When in reality, even though the capacity was 200, there was like 25 people there, you made it look like it was that much. So
that's some really good advice, actually.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And one thing that we try to do, which is hard during these events, like we'll try to go live, Josh or I, like during the event, or try to post photos, and it's hard because we're working. We can't do it. What we love to do and love to see is, someone going live at our event and like showcasing what we can't show at that moment in time. And it's just a true testament to like what is going on, what's happening, why you want to be here, why you want to network. Because you see in those photos and those videos, everybody's talking. It's rare that you'll see people just sitting on the sideline and not engaging with anyone. So social media is huge. Utilize it all the time, going live, all of that. That's great.
Yeah, and live, and I don't go live as much as I should, but live is really good, like you said, especially for events. I think that's probably the best thing for live is whether you're doing events or like, talking to people, videos and such. And those live videos give people that raw feel,
Yeah.
like, hey, we're here. You know, we got DJ Mega Skills. He's on the ones and twos. You know, and everything, and that really just shows more authenticness and such. You know, like you're
Oh,
gonna
I
say.
was going to say, especially too, like if it's just the beginning of your event and people are starting to post lives or something like that, and your event might go for a couple hours, and they might only be down the street, and they'll be like, oh, there's a lot of people here. I
Right.
see them.
Yep.
Let me, you know what? Let me go out there after all and stuff and
That
go
can
down.
instantly change that decision on, I was going to go, wasn't sure. And then it's like, you know what? Let me just go check it out. So that's some advice for event planners out there that are throwing events and stuff.
It's tricky out there. I've tried hosting events myself in the past, and I think the best advice I heard from one event planner, when he was showing me how to do he's like, and you probably do this too, is like you have to send your invite to as many people as you can and plan for maybe a quarter of them to actually
Yes.
show up.
Yep.
That sounds
Yep,
about right.
That is exactly true. Yeah. So if you have like 100 registrants, you're going to expect like 50 people to actually show up. So you definitely want to get the word out to as many folks as possible to get to that goal of what number you actually want to see, how many attendees that are going to be there. Yep.
Now,
Okay.
how do you gauge between throwing too many events and not enough events? Because you don't want to wear out the people that are always coming to your events, but you also want to make sure they're staying in contact with
Yep,
everybody.
that is something that we're always constantly thinking about and evolving on. So what we do now, we do events probably once a month, but we also take on private clients. So for us, depending on what kind of event it's going to be, if it's like a happy hour networking one, okay, cool, you can have that once a month or whatever. But like big golf events, you have to prepare. You can't do two. I mean, I wouldn't suggest doing 2 huge golf events in 1 year. You have to break it out, separate the year, write out your calendar, do it by quarterly, whatever it is that makes it work for you and what you're trying to do. We found it that doing educational events, happy hours, small little, like whatever it may be, you spread it out, give people enough time to be able to understand, like, okay, if I can't make that event, then the next one's going to be this. Okay, I can go to that one. Or, okay, I've already been to one of those happy hours. Let me skip that. Let me go. So just keep it. You have to diversify it. Make the events different. Keep people wanting to, why should I be there? What's going on? What is going on this month? What do they have going on? You know what I mean? Like always asking those questions. So you don't want to do too many events because that will definitely dry you out. Like it would just be, it's a lot that goes into events. And that's one big problem that we see in this industry. People always trying to do something weekly. It's hard to do things like that. You have to read your audience, know that we're human beings. We have different times and schedules that are going on in our lives. We have families, we have this going on. Make it so you're not stretched thin, and then you're also showing up and your people are showing up to your events.
So more like
balance it out.
maybe every other week if you're a person who's hosting events, or once a month, or I don't know, like special. Like, do you feel like tying in events with holidays and those kind of things, do they improve attendance, or are they kind of like
another thing? So holiday season, read the room. You don't want to throw an event in December. Everybody's going to be, you know what I mean? Like,
everybody's out of town.
Let's get it right, the timeline right. In the summertime, a lot of families are down, a lot of people are down the shore. Kids are out of school. Okay. Throw events around schedules that make sense for people, makes sense for everyone. Open houses, those are every weekend. Those are events. You just have to really look at the schedule and understand what you're trying to do with it.
I think that, too, plays into all different industries because especially for creatives and stuff, like there's a lot of photographers and everything that'll do mini sessions and everything. But it's like they plan out their mini sessions of like, okay, I'm going to do a Christmas mini session, but in November so people can get that out then for their Christmas cards and everything and stuff. But you don't see them do too many because it's like if you do too many, it's like, okay, well, I just shot last month or a couple months ago. I don't need new pictures again already and stuff and all, especially for that plays into big with headshot photographers and everything because it's like if you could do a headshot photography mini session technically every month if you wanted to, but people aren't going to need new headshots every single month. So it's like space it out, do it once a year or twice a year and stuff like that. And all that way it gets people like, oh, I need to refresh my photos. Yes. Even families like, oh, I need new Christmas photos this year and stuff, or I need new beach photos and stuff. So it plays into every industry, I feel like, too.
It does.
And it helps you get, you can tell your, like you said, connect, tell your stories with people. I love that analogy you put, Naomi, with the headshot mini sessions or the mini sessions with families and such. Because if you do those quarterly or you do them twice a year or something like that, at least it's okay. It brings that, like, for, like, we'll use the headshot one, for example. You do the headshot like, hey, beginning of the new year, new me, headshot mini session day. Then later on, when you're closer to like that October, hey, we're getting ready to end a year with a bang or something, or like that back to school, like, hey, that could cater towards college students and stuff. Like, hey, you need a headshot so you look good for putting your resume out and such. So, those are those little different strategies that you could do.
For sure. Definitely.
And then, so you actually hit this question earlier about how do you empower other women in the industry through networking collaboration. That was with the, you talk with them and like, hey, work the room together and everything. Do you find it for women? Do you find it better for women when you do events where it's just catered just to women, or do you feel should it be in that mixed group of men and women?
I think you should have a balance between both. I think you should do women events so that way those creatives, those women are in one room and then they could learn off each other. Like, you'll learn more about a person when they're not under so much pressure. Like, okay, I have to stand up straight and act a certain way. Like, we can all just be in a room and talk it out, vibe it out. And then also having the events that are mixed. So now it's like, okay, show the world what you got, be able to work a room and talk. So it's definitely important to have a balance between the both. Sorry, the men don't get their own events. I'm sure they're out there somewhere. But we haven't done that yet, so maybe we will.
Well, and this is honestly the facts is that you could have an event and say it's just men, you'll get like 10 guys show up. You say it's just women, you'll get 50 women show up. When women show up at events, you get a crowd and stuff, and this goes back to what I said earlier about the guys who show up to be like, hey, what's up, girl? It's like, women are the ones that really help bring the groups, and, because women are more like, men tend to be the more individual and, I'll do it on my own, but women like, no, we want community. We want to bring things together and stuff. So it's like the more women you have at an event, I honestly feel it's going to be more successful.
Yes, I agree with you. We did do a women's event 2 years ago at Billy Penn Studios for Women's Month, and we did have a few men show up. We're not going to ever turn anyone away, but it was interesting to see. Like, we never said women only, but like, it's a women's event. So naturally we're like, okay, we're only going to have women here. But there were a few men that came, and the feedback that they gave us was that they loved it, because now you're seeing women, smart women interacting, sharing ideas, bouncing ideas off. Now you're getting something that you didn't have an insight on because you're a male, I'm a female. We think differently. Unique perspectives are being bounced around each other. So we're never going to turn anyone away for any specific reason. But yeah, I think it's important to have a balance between certain groups of people with events, for sure.
I love that. I want to make sure I hit all my questions for you today. Yeah, we've been rocking it. I have one more question, but Naomi, did you have anything else?
Not off the top of my head, no.
Not off the top of your head? Okay, cool. So I have two more questions, actually. First, what is one piece of final advice you have for creatives and entrepreneurs that they can use for leveraging events?
Okay, so one advice I would say is, like, going back to, we're in this people's business. As creatives, we rely on people, community. Leverage networking events. Go meet people in your space. Even if you meet someone that can't necessarily help you with your business, now you've just added another person to your network that you can maybe go back to later on in time, or you build off of each other. You constantly build off each other. So networking is huge for creatives because we depend on the community. And in order to be a part of a community, you have to go out and meet that community. So you have to show up. It's very important. Very important.
And then last one is, what is next for Bethany Williams and the Wolf of Broad Street?
What is next? I don't know, just taking over the world day by day.
Well,
what's next
for us? At least the city of Philly, right?
Yeah. Especially Philly. What's next for us? Like, now that we're just leaning more heavily on the events, with our private clients, we have the Wolf Pack, which is really interesting. I suggest everyone go check out wolfpackdirectory.com. Right now we are representing 10 clients. Our hopes are to represent 100 and just constantly continue to build and water our community. I mean, we're here for everyone. If anyone ever needs anything, we're your people to go to. So I hope what's next for us is just building beautiful, bigger, better things.
And how can people get in contact with you?
People can reach me on Instagram at BethChris. I am Bethany Williams on Facebook. And my email address is beth@wolfofbroadstreet215.com.
Awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Bethany.
Thank you guys for having me.
And it has been a fun show. And I hope you guys had a great time with our conversation today, talking about networking, building relationships, woman empowerment. And it's been great. I'm your host, Tato Datson, with my co-host, Naomi and Bethany Williams. Thank you for joining us.